the word disagree.
Don't sort of disagree vehemently.
Okay. With the way that you described and gave image to faith and hope.
Yeah.
And I think because I didn't understand it, so could you explain?
Yeah, well, I've just tried personally to make sense of the relationship between faith and hope, because we cast them around kind of carelessly. We sometimes use them interchangeably. Sometimes the scriptures even use one to define the other. And so I was trying to determine in my own mind if there isn't a kind of reasonable progression. And at least in my own mind there is. And it seems to me that the only motivation that really works for faith is a response to a loving invitation. Anything else, as I said today, is a kind of self-interested form of investment, right? It's kind of like Pascal's wager. Well, I'll venture this faith because the rewards might be really, really good. But it seems to me the kind of faith that we see in its most profound manifestations in the Scripture would be like Abraham's sacrifice, where he has no expectation that this is going to have a happy outcome. It's a response to God's call, and he feels a loving response emanating from himself. And that's the gesture of faith. But hope is when somehow we find the grounds for trusting that there will be a fruitful or happy outcome. But if we believed that at the beginning, then that would have been the motivation and not the love. And that's why I think it has to begin with love. And then that manifests itself as faith. And only then does hope come into the picture in response. That's how I see the relationship. And I think that's how Paul is trying to arrange it in those scriptures that I referred to today in Colossians and Thessalonians.
So would faith be like a loving response to the call and hope that it will just like turn out okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like action and then the thing that moves you to keep acting.
Yeah, and then, Moroni talks about that moment that comes when our hope is fully realized and when we live in that confidence that we have made our calling and election sure, or that we are going to receive the fruits of that faithful gesture. But that hope certainly isn't there in the beginning. It emerges with time and with testing